after hiding in the remote jungles of Colombia for years, allegedly directing a large paramilitary criminal network despite a $6 million bounty on his head, Dario Antonio Úsuga David woke up this week in Brooklyn, New York. Behind bars and moved in chains, his visit an unwilling one. He was considered one of the most dangerous and most wanted men in the world, a global kingpin, allegedly responsible for moving more than 100 tons of coke worth more than $2 billion. And now he's finally appeared in a courtroom in America. The mob reporter here with details of the U.S. government's plans for and allegations against the man better known as Otoniel, the alleged supreme leader of Colombia's most powerful cartel, known as the Clan del Golfo. Let me tell you about it. On May 5, 2022, Otoniel appeared for the first time in a New York courtroom, where he denied being an international drug lord. He was refused bail and held in custody, pending trial. It was another whirlwind flurry for the 50-year-old Otoniel. His extradition from Colombia the day before was a high-security military operation that authorities thankfully documented. You see it here. He is considered one of the biggest fish in a big dirty sea. U.S. and Colombian authorities say he led one of the most powerful and violent paramilitary organizations in the world. Those are the two pillars of the U.S. allegations against him: drugs and violence. He is accused of moving a staggering amount of bulk cocaine north out of Colombia through Central America and Mexico to the United States, and of targeting both gangland rivals and government and police officials. 3 federal U.S. court districts wanted to put him on trial, 1 in Florida and 2 in New York. He was arrested in a remote jungle hideaway in Colombia on October 23, 2021. Throughout all but the last day of the massive hunt for Otoniel, since at least 2015, he always remained at least one step ahead. He was surrounded by hardcore loyalists who had been at his side for decades. They had a strict no-phones policy. If anyone was found with a phone or electronic device anywhere near him, it could cost them their life. He moved through the jungle on foot, on the back of a mule, or by riverboat, avoiding roads and populated areas. He lived, in essence, the life of a revolutionary, not as a narco. No luxury, no parties, no sports cars, just tents and paranoia. It's something the U.S. authorities on the prosecution team seem to recognize.
For the last decade, Úsuga David has been the principal leader of the Clan del Golfo, or CDG, the most powerful paramilitary and drug trafficking cartel in Colombia. He is responsible for trafficking vast amounts of cocaine, measured in tons, not pounds or kilograms. He earned enormous profits, measured in billions, not millions.
He's indicted in the Eastern District of New York. That's the same jurisdiction in Brooklyn, where Mexico's cartel boss, El Chapo Guzman, was put on trial in 2018. A jury there found El Chapo guilty on all counts of drug trafficking, money laundering, and murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison. Otoniel may face a similar fate. And like El Chapo, Otoniel seemed to have something in his eye when his travel to the U.S. began. Surely it's the dust. That seemed to reward U.S. officials.
His face said it all. Not happy to be visiting this great city, he walked off the jet as a defeated man.
Otoniel is accused in the U.S. of leading a continuing criminal enterprise and participating in an international cocaine manufacturing and distribution conspiracy as the leader of a paramilitary group that became a multi-billion-dollar drug organization. Court documents claim that from 2003 until his arrest, Otoniel was responsible for weekly multi-ton exports of cocaine. As evidence of his operational capacity, authorities point to 3 recent seizures. On April 12th, 2021, about 1,365 kilos seized from 2 boats off the coast of Panama. 2 days later, April 14th, 2021, about 2,609 kilos seized from a go-fast boat also off the coast of Panama. And on July 18th, 2021, an astonishing 5,463 kilos seized from a boat in a jungle region in Colombia. Together, just those 3 incidents total nearly 10.5 tons. The documents say he became the Clan del Golfo's supreme leader in 2012, and at his peak had 6,000 people under his command. Many of them wear military uniforms, operate within a military hierarchy, and use military tactics in a war against rival criminal organizations, other armed factions, and the government. As well, authorities allege Otoniel had a veritable army of sicarios, or hitmen, who engaged in violence on his behalf. That includes not only killing traitors, but the traitor's entire family, officials said. U.S. officials also directly pointed to 3 weapons seizures from last year. A January 24, 2021 find in Medellin, Colombia, that included rocket-propelled grenades, rifles, machine guns, and ammunition. Another cache, also in Medellin, found a few days later, contained rifles, handguns, a silencer, and ammunition. And a third cache seized in Medellin on July 28, 2021, of grenade launchers, rifles, handguns, magazines, and ammo. While the dope stashes are of a staggering size, the weapons seizures seem to be fairly modest, to be honest. Some just look like a well-stocked Arizona home. Otoniel is even accused of trying to poison a witness with cyanide while he was imprisoned overseas and assassinating the witness's lawyers. He might wish now he hadn't put those kinds of ideas out there. The US DEA has been after him for close to 20 years. It seems fair, I suppose, that if it's America's war on drugs, then it should be the United States that bears the cost of court and prison for those found to be on the wrong side of things. And American officials are okay with that.
Today's extradition should send a clear message to leaders of drug cartels all over the world. The DEA will relentlessly pursue anyone, a local street drug dealer, a money launderer, or the head of an international criminal drug cartel.
Feeling great about the arrest, but not so good about the extradition, however, are the many victims inside Colombia who seek justice for themselves. There was a push for Otoniel to be put on trial in his homeland. That seemed too sensitive, and perhaps too risky. What does Otoniel know, after all? I bet a lot. Colombia's president promised that once Otoniel completes any sentence issued in the United States, he will, quote, return to pay for the crimes he committed in Colombia, unquote. That seems increasingly unlikely. Meanwhile, after the extradition, Otoniel's supporters reminded the government the fight wasn't over. They staged a wave of revenge attacks, blockades, and a Klan-enforced economic lockdown that became violent and dangerous. It stretched over 4 days, spanning 11 of Colombia's 32 provinces, and included attacks on police stations. Military and police units responded. There were dozens of deaths, injuries, arrests, and seizures. The cycle continues. The U.S. charges are allegations only at this stage, but if he's found guilty, he faces a sentence that would amount to life in prison. Check out my exclusive content and perks on Patreon at patreon.com/themobreporter. And thanks for watching. Please subscribe.